What's up, Exiles? It's Gemini, and this is the third character after the second wipe on the beta realm. This is my self-found hardcore Ice Crash Marauder. This skill was recently added to the game. We're going to go ahead and talk about the self-found gear first. First and foremost, we have the two-handed mace, which is 457 DPS, 55 being LE, 402 being physical. It's augmented with endurance charge on melee stun, leap slam, blood magic, faster attacks. Since this is my main mobility, generating endurance charges is easy peasy. I also have Herald of Ash and Enduring Cry on it. This is mainly just an option, not a necessity. Here we have weapon LE, added fire, melee fizz, and heavy strike in my helmet. It's just got a little bit of life and 2 res. The chest has tri-res, life, and some armor evasion. It has my main skill, Ice Crash, melee fizz, faster attacks, and fortify. Now all these gems and links can change. This is pretty much doing it self-found. Hatred, Rallying Cry, increased duration, and Blood Rage. Now Rallying Cry is a special case. It's if you attach increased duration with endurance charges, you don't really get any benefit from it. But Rallying Cry is a war cry affected by increased duration, and it boosts my damage depending upon how many mobs are around me, and it gives me life regen per second. I think this lasts a little over 9 seconds in its current state. Hatred is not affected by anything else. It's just kind of like it's standalone. And then the Blood Rage gives me frenzy charges on kill and life leech. It's important to note that Blood Rage has now been changed to do physical damage rather than chaos, and that's good because it gets mitigated by endurance charges and also gets mitigated by Soul of Steel. This has additional physical damage reduction, but I don't have that yet. Let's move along. In the boots we have Flame Golem just to give me a buff, and it's kind of like an extra thing to have aggro. Warlord's Mark, Vengeance, and Culling Strike. Now the Vengeance Culling Strike is mainly for bosses, so when they get low and they hit me, it's kind of like an added bonus. This belt is nothing special, and these flasks are pretty decent. They're going to change. The jewelry has accuracy, which doesn't do anything for me because I'm Resolute Technique and I never miss. And that's the rest of the jewelry. This is kind of good because it gives me the lightning damage in addition to the Karui Maul. Now for whatever reason, Ice Crash does not show the X to Y of each component, so we're going to go ahead and go to the aqueducts and put up some aura so you guys can see what the tooltip is, for linked. Oops, I actually turned off Hatred. Go back to town, turn on Hatred, go back to aqueducts. Alright, so I used Blood Rage, and as you can see the degen is not happening. I actually can heal with it up because I have 170.4 life regen per second. Heavy Strike without any buffs is 22.8, and Ice Crash is almost 16k, 15.8. And as you see, let me go through packs. I get endurance charges, and then the Ice Crash. Blood Rage gives me frenzy charges, which gives me more damage and attack speed. And my Fortify also gives me damage. I'll show you that soon. But 21.14, and that's not including the Rallying Cry. The Rallying Cry gives me a temporary buff to damage depending on how many mobs are nearby. So 23k. So it's a really, really nice synergistic way of playing this character. The Blood Rage is nearly for free, and then the Heavy Strike is around 31k. Let's see if we can get a big pack and take a look at the DPS. So we have 34k Heavy Strike and a 23k Ice Crash. Really, really, really cool. Alright, so defensively I have 76 fire res and fortify. Let's talk about that wheel down here. We have Rampart, which has 20% increased armor when you have fortify, in addition to 8% increased fortify effect. and it gives me 15% melee fizz. This node also increases the fortify effect by 4% and the duration by 10. And then these two give me a little bit of bonus damage while I have fortify. So this has a temporary icon, that's pretty cool. So while this is a defensive thing, a mechanic, you can either use it with the fortify support gem, or you can use the ability called Vigilant Strike, which is kind of like a heavy hitting hit and can be bypassed, can have its cooldown bypassed by expending an endurance charge. Now I just find it convenient to have it right here. This will probably end up changing to my heavy strike later on down the road. I need to think about how I want to link these gems, but you know, the problem is in high-end maps that RT specs start to fall off because they don't have crit multiplier. But GGG has implemented new support gems, and I have a couple ideas, mainly dealing with the tinkering of Herald of Ash, putting increased burning damage, maybe increasing its AoE, and I also want to use maybe hypothermia. Now while that might not show up on tooltip, it does 39% more damage, and that's all damage on a chill target. And I'm using an ice-based skill, and I can chill easily with all, you know, this amount of cold damage. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to focus on getting heavy hitting, you know, like Hulk smash type hits, increasing the quality, and focusing on overkill damage. So ideally I'd want to hit mobs for like 80 to 85% of their life. They have 15% remaining, and then I hit them again, and then that overkill damage, which is probably going to be around 70%, you know, trying to get that to that sweet spot. It's all going to be circumstantial though to how much mob HP and if they're magic, if they're rare. But the idea is to proliff, AoE proliff, and I know a lot of you guys are cringing. I'm like, oh god, not another AoE proliff. But this will definitely have some synergies that I think will be pretty cool, and it would be a way to scale an RT build. Now, why did I choose maces? Mainly because it's the best weapon that I found, but I'm going to kind of run with it. If we look at the X to Y, you can see that I do 45 to 559 lightning damage, and that allows me to shock because I have Elementalist and Celestial Punishment. That's a 10% chance to shock, even though I cannot crit. Fire damage is pretty substantial, 600 to almost 1,000, and then the cold damage is 3,400 to 5,500. This is unbuffed without the charges. So I have Ink AoE nodes here from the Templar, and we also have the Penetration, Celestial Judgment. I'm doing lots of Ellie damage, Catalyze for weapon Ellie, but this is one of the nice wheels for maces. So I plan on using the Maraketh mace that has a 6% increase area implicit in addition to the 4, so getting 10 more. Now, since this ability doesn't really need weapon element or weapon range, you can just throw it, unlike Static Strike where you have to run up to the thing and physically hit it, auto attack it. You can actually use this much like Ground Slam. So weapon range doesn't really matter. It will matter more so with Heavy Strike. But maces are an okay choice in my opinion. Maybe one of the best choices if you go RT. If I go crit, I'll definitely change up this entire setup. Let's say I find Hegemony's Era, I'll probably go Tri-Herald and scale it with crit multiplier, and other means. But currently I'm probably anticipating this character self-found as RT maces. Alright, let's go through the tree. I had a lot of dex and int problems, so keep that in mind. I went through the Marauder life, went up to Born to Fight, pretty much beelined it to Resolute Technique, picking up some resistance along the way. And then going after Resolute Technique, then we went down, picked up Juggernaut, went down, picked up more Bloodless nodes, and then picked up the Fortify wheel. After this point I started to run into mana problems, or I was foreseeing mana problems, so we picked up Revelry, which gives me mana gain on hit, max mana, and flat mana. This pretty much solves all my problems with mana. After that I picked up Golem's Blood because it has a total of 15% life, 10 dex between 3 nodes, in addition to 1.6 life regen. That's very good. And not being able to use multi-strike with this skill, we have two-handed melee damage, two-handed attack speed, Wrecking Ball, and then I went to Executioner for Fizz, and then extra damage on low life. Now I used a combination of Ground Slam, and then I found Static Strike to level up with, and then at level 28 you can use the Ice Crash gem, and that's immediately when I started using it, as soon as I hit 28. Okay, so after we picked up Golem's Blood and these two nodes, then we went up Strength, 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 Catalyze, Strength, Strength, Elementalist to pick up that all. I was really needing the res, and if you do Self-Found, you'll definitely find into some resistance problems. After that, I went for a Quality of Life AoE for clear speed, Retribution down this way, Discipline and Training. After Discipline and Training, I went Devotion, and then I finished this Sanctity Wheel. Once I finished that, I needed more dex, so I got the Survival Instincts off the Act 2 Act 2 Normal reward. Got dex and all res, and went over towards Celestial Punishment and Celestial Judgment. And keep in mind, I was pretty much switching between any weapon that I found, which was usually an axe, a two-handed axe, or a two-handed mace. Then we found the beauty, this beauty. It was already 6-socketed too, which was so nice. Then I started to specialize. I went immediately for Bone Breaker, increased area of effect, and then Blunt Instrument. After this point, I started to run into a little bit more mana issues. So, oops, sorry, you guys could see it. Bone Breaker and Blunt Instrument, which gave me 3%, 10 armor, and 28% Fizz with 30 armor. And I finished out this wheel. I think I picked up Expertise at some point. And that's pretty much the tree. However, I plan on changing it to look something more like this. I'm going to end up respecking out of this area and traveling this way. And you say, oh, Hege, look, why are you picking up mana notes? This one's pretty cool. It's called Battle Rouse. 3% damage taken gained as mana when hit, and in addition to max mana. And I'll probably end up picking up Mana Flows in addition to Revelry. So I'm going to have quite a bit of max mana, probably pick up Righteous Decree, and the whole purpose is I want to be able to run a level 1 Arctic Armor. That's going to be something that I experiment with so that I can get Chilled Ground and movement speed. That is the main reason. Not because I want to level up Arctic Armor. That's kind of unrealistic. Especially that puts a lot of stress on what kind of gear you pick up and how much mana needs to be on it. But yeah, I think that'll be a nice addition. I'll be able to like pretty much temp chains or chill bosses that are in melee range, and it'll keep me a lot safer. But yeah, that's the direction that this is going. Hopefully you guys find this build very interesting, and feel free to come watch me live on Twitch TV. I'll post a link of the VODs from level 1 to where it is now. Those VODs will last up to 45 days, so it won't be there forever. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to hop in stream and ask me live. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.